The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it.
See it now. It's a helicopter, and it's coming this way.
A helicopter?
It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner, and it says, Happy Thanksgiving from WKRP. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object, perhaps a skydiver, plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. Second to the third. There's no parachutes yet.
Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but...
Oh, my God, they're turkeys!
Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes. One just went through the windshield of a parked car. Johnny, this is terrible.
Brothers running around, pushing each other. Oh, my goodness. Oh, the humanity. Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. See, folks, I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this any longer. No, I can't go in there.
Children are searching for their mothers, and, oh, not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 23rd day of November 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com. The SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420pod over there at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 on your first purchase of football tickets, base or basketball, hockey. Get some tickets for the holiday season, whatever you got going on. But make sure you guys use SeatGeek for all your ticket needs. Remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great articles and other great podcasts, such as No Credentials Required, which I just finished watching over there on YouTube earlier this morning, getting ready for our show here on Thanksgiving Thursday down in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our American listeners, and thank you very much from all of us here at 1420 World Headquarters for listening to the show or watching on YouTube, reading all the articles that we got over there on the 1420sportsbar.com on a daily basis. We thank you very much for all the support you've given us over the 3+ years we've been doing into this crazy venture of ours. Anyways, it is Les Nessman. There he was talking about the turkeys hitting the concrete like a bags of wet cement, and Mr. Carlson saying what did he say? As God's my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. One of the greatest moments in television history and comedic moments in television history. You don't get to watch that enough. When it comes around on Thanksgiving Day, you make sure you tune into that and watch that and get a good laugh about it. The turkey dump is a thing. It's right across the country, United States. There they talk about the turkey dump. People come home for the holidays for the first time since going away to college, and they see their ex or their old boyfriend or old girlfriend, and they think that things are going to get back together. And the person who comes home, they usually get dumped, and the turkey dump turns out like this. They've moved on, they've grown, they've everything else. But we're going to have a bit of a different kind of a turkey dump, not a Les Nessman turkey dump, not an American going up back to the bar for the first time turkey dump, but we're going to do 1420 turkey dump right here for you guys about the National Hockey League. We talk about a lot the marker pretty much for the National Hockey League season. 4 teams on the bubble there. We talk about all the time here, and everybody does talk about the American Thanksgiving being the time of year when you could say, okay, this is where you are, this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to get around it, and this you're a playoff team or you aren't. I got 6 or 7 or 8. Maybe we'll see how many we get through today. That teams are not making the playoffs. That's a guarantee that they aren't. there's some that were no-brainers. There were some that were on the bubble. You thought they might make the next leap. And then there's one for sure. We'll talk about them probably at length, maybe tonight as well on the 1420 Sports Bar when Dave talks about it. I don't know how much we'll get into that because it's an absolute tire fire, probably the biggest tire fire in sports history. I can't think of a collapse of a team that was supposed to do something like the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, we're talking about a team like the Oilers who just can't get it going and everything else, firing the coach. We talked about it at length, but they hit a new low last night. We'll get to them in half a second, but let's go through some teams that are not making the playoffs here. We already know the San Jose Sharks. They're in a mode right now. They're 0-9 on the road. They got a plus or minus 55 goal differential, which is kind of it looks worse than it actually is. They had those two games where they lost to Vancouver, lost 10-1 to Vancouver and 10-0 to San Jose. So there's 19 goal differential right there. So the other 36 came about in their other games, but San Jose Sharks are in a rebuild mode still. I don't know how you can call it a rebuild mode when they've never really done anything. They've been close but no cigar for a lot of years, haven't accomplished anything. They've been to a cup final once in the Joe Thornton years and the Patrick Marleau years, and they haven't got anything accomplished at all in that franchise. Yeah, it's been a nice story for a lot of years. They used to sell that building out. Now the crowds are diminishing, everything else. Mike Greer's got a tall order on his hands. That team's not making the playoffs this year, next year, or the year after. They are absolutely atrocious. I don't know what they're planning on doing there, how they can get it better, because I don't think you can go from a record like that with 3 wins so far in the season to being competitive next year or the year after. They're 3 or 4 years away from doing anything. My advice to Mike Greer would probably be to take Soupy Campbell out of Edmonton's hands and trade Mackenzie Blackwood to the Oilers. It's not going to help the Oilers season any, but it'll guarantee if you put Campbell in net in San Jose, you're not going to win any more hockey games the way that guy plays goal. He actually ended up getting a shutout a couple nights ago in the minors for Bakersfield, but he's just not the guy they thought they would. They could dump some salary. The Oilers could. They could have a trade deal. Blackwood would get some confidence back in his game and might be a goaltender for the Oilers next year. He's not a guy for this year, but that's something that Mike Greer is my advice to Mike Greer. I don't know why you would take my advice, but just one of those things, one of those deals that I would make to make sure that your team that's mired in last place. Only two games behind the other team I'm going to talk about here in half a second as well. But I don't understand how these teams can pretend to be in a rebuild when they've never done anything. The foundation they say was there, and it was never there. San Jose hasn't done a damn thing in their entire time in the National Hockey League. They won a few rounds here and there, but in general, that's nothing. Winning around here, winning around there. Mediocrity breeds mediocrity. We say it all the time. And the San Jose Sharks have been mired in mediocrity for a very long time. And to say you're rebuilding, what are you rebuilding? It's going to be the exact same team for a long time. You got to break it right down to, maybe that's what they're doing. Break it right down to absolutely nothing, and not to rebuild, but actually build. And that's where the San Jose Sharks are right now. So that's one team. Everybody knows that they weren't going to be a playoff team this year by any means. Number 2 on the list, obviously, everybody was kind of saying that the Chicago Blackhawks, there was high hopes for them this year, and I was saying you guys got to hit the brakes a little bit. Yeah, they went out and got Connor Bedard, who's got his 10th goal last night or couple nights ago. Doesn't much matter. But Chicago Blackhawks are a team that are a long ways away from being any good. Bedard's he's going to get his points. He probably a 40 to 45 goal guy this year. He's already got the 10, like I said, but the rest of the team hasn't done anything behind them. They don't defend well. They don't stop many pucks. They don't do anything else well. Yes, Taylor Hall got hurt, so he was out for a considerable amount of time. I think he was out 6 or 7 games. I think he's back now, but that team was supposed to be a little bit better, but I don't think that they were. I don't think that they were going to be any good in my realm of thinking. People thought that they were going to just jump on, like with getting Foligno, getting Hall, and then Corey Perry, who's a good mentor for Connor Bedard, of having a decent hockey team there, but they're just a bad hockey team, and they aren't going to do much this year or next year. They're another team that has to find a way to build around Bedard. You're going to have a situation that you have with Bedard that they have in Edmonton now. We'll get to them obviously in a second, but that team in Chicago is bad. And then losing last night to Columbus, who's another bad hockey team that we'll talk about them in a few minutes too, but You lose 7-3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who absolutely are terrible. That doesn't show much for your hockey team as well. So the Chicago Blackhawks are another team. They're a few years away from doing anything. Bedard's going to get his points, and that'll be about it. And that's going to be it for a couple of years. I don't know what you're going to do there with that franchise. And getting the first overall pick, it means that your team was really bad. And then being able to improve your team quickly it's a tough order when you break it all down to get to when you're that bad to try to get to the next level, which is just the playoffs and not even winning a championship. There's 3 or 4 different levels in the National Hockey League that you try to get to, and the Chicago Blackhawks are at a low level. 5 wins this season so far. They just aren't getting it done. Number 3, a team that's just mired in mediocrity, like I wrote about that article that we did for the on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I wrote for our website. Minnesota Wild aren't too much different from being a team mired in mediocrity and obscurity. What name something that the Minnesota Wild have ever done? They're a bad hockey team once again. They're only a couple of games under 500, and they went over to Europe and they lost a couple of games in a shootout. I get that, but that team is just not very good. They haven't done anything. They really haven't been relevant since coming to the National Hockey League. I don't know how many years ago now, but they're not a new hockey team. Like, they're not the expansion label has been taken off of them a long time ago. The only thing that team has going for them is Zuccarello's got, I think, 19 points so far, and they have Marc-Andre Fleury, who's playing out his career right now. Dean Everson's probably going to get fired this week or next week. It's just one of those things that's going to happen. They're going to blame it on the coach once again, but that team is not built very well. It's just a bad hockey team in a great hockey market that just hasn't been able to get it done. It's too bad that a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury, who's probably playing out his Hall of Fame career the next few months or so, it'll be all over but the crying for him, that he won't get a chance to do anything in the playoffs and go out on his career on a bit of a whimper. And it's too bad that guy, like a good guy like he isn't going to get a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup, because the guy can still play goal. The guy's still a top tier National Hockey goaltender, not one of the best in the league by any means, but we'll actually talk about that tomorrow. I was watching Overdrive yesterday. They were talking about the lack of Canadian goaltenders around the National Hockey League. So maybe I'll do a little expose on that one tomorrow for everybody. But it's a sad sight to see Marc-Andre Fleury going on, like I said, on a whimper on his career, Hall of Fame career with a team like Minnesota, who just has no direction, no force, no nothing going for them. And it's the players, the team that's constructed around them. Next team that's not making the playoffs, I don't think it's any surprise, even though like I said, they got the win last night against Chicago Blackhawks 7-3, and Patrick Laine got himself out of the press box. He should keep his yap shut. He said, I don't know how anybody gets chances eating popcorn in the press box. Well, you know what? Play better, and you won't get led to the press box. You won't be sitting up there. They won't give you a press pass. That's on you, Laine. So shut your yap. But that's one team that's just they are going absolutely nowhere, and it was a wreck. Like the article I wrote for the 1420sportsbar.com. Make sure you guys go check that out, because it just goes to show that a team that's just bad with no direction year in, year out. And they started off with Babcock as the coach, and he didn't come out, and it was doomed from the get-go. Boone Jenner scored a goal last night. He's a good hockey player. He's not a great hockey player, and that's just a team that it is. And Johnny Gaudreau, they gave him a bunch of money and they shouldn't have, and it's on and on it goes with that hockey team. They just don't score enough goals. Laine, they gave 8.5 to, and he's not going to get you 30. He won't even get you 20. So that's where your season is right there. So that's another team that is not making the playoffs, and I'll put a guarantee on that one. Another one that's playing above their head right now, but I don't think that they're playoff bound by any means. And this isn't a shot to a team that's playing pretty decent hockey. Is the Montreal Canadiens. Only one game under 500 right now. It's a team that, like I said, they're playing over their heads. And Martin St. Louis got that team rolling pretty good. All things considered, they can score. They can score like nobody's business. Cole Caulfield's a hell of a hockey player. He then a rejuvenated hockey player in Sean Monahan from Calgary. He's looks like he's playing a lot better hockey. Seems healthy and everything else. So like I said, he's playing a little bit rejuvenated. He's got that team going in the right direction. He's a good leader. He's a good player, and he's got that team going a little bit for him. The problem is they just can't stop hockey pucks, and they can't keep the puck out of their net. They don't defend well. They got a young defense that isn't great. They should maybe look at trading Jake Allen too, because all of a sudden you have these teams on the bubble. And we talk about this a lot. You get these teams on the proverbial bubble, and they think they're playoff teams. They think they're pretty good. And all of a sudden they start to believe in themselves too much. And then maybe like an injury comes up, and then you get a guy coming from the minors, and he comes up and he plays a little bit over his head for a few weeks. They score some goals and they defend well and whatever else. All of a sudden you find yourself on that playoff bubble, and then you end up getting a mid-tier draft pick. And a mid-tier draft pick after the top 5, you might as well be drafting second rounders and third rounders. And that's because it's just a crapshoot after that. So you got to really watch how many hockey games you win this time of year. Yeah, you don't want to mail it in. Yeah, you want to compete and everything else, but you really got to make sure that your team doesn't win too much, because you win too much, all of a sudden you get the young guys believing, and all of a sudden the young guys start playing a bit harder. If you get the old grizzled vets who don't mind losing and say, you know what, we're not going to make the playoffs, might as well call her good now. And that's where the Montreal Canadiens are right now. Another team that's been playing pretty decent. They got to a really bad start, and I hate to see another Canadian team out of the playoffs. But I think that the Flames aren't making the playoffs. Yes, they're playing a lot better hockey right now. They're a couple games under 500, and they've lost 3 games in the shootout so far this year. Tough one against the Islanders on Saturday night there, but you got to think that the Flames brass is thinking, let's sell sooner rather than later and see what we can't regroup right now and not make the playoffs and not be that mid-tier guy. And I think that Craig Conroy is kind of on board with that, because Chris Tanev is on the hot seat there. He's an unrestricted free agent, and he'll probably be seeing different pastures soon, I would think. And then Nikita Zadorov asked for the trade and everything else. So I think you're going to see him being dealt sooner rather than later. Toronto seems to be the front runner to go for these two guys to both go to Toronto to see if they can't win a couple of rounds in Toronto. But I think that it'd be in Calgary's best interest right now to see what the young guys got, get rid of your older guys, dump those contracts now, and get something for those guys before you lose them for nothing. And it's one of those things you hate to see it, because Calgary's playing better hockey. The young guys are playing pretty good. They're scoring some goals, but you got to think that they're going. And there's rumors that Noah Hannafin, he not refused, but they had a contract offer that was really, really good, 8.5 by 5, I think I heard but he said, no, thanks, bye, see ya. So I deal him too. I would get rid of those 3 guys, not now, but right now, and then see what your young guys got and get into that situation where you're not winning too many hockey games, because that could be trouble. You don't want too many young guys believing in themselves. Like, hey, you don't want to beat people down. Like, I'm not saying that, but you don't want to see too many guys winning hockey games and too many guys believing in themselves, and it's something to see. Another team that's on the bubble, you thought they'd be a lot better, but they're not making the playoffs once again, because they're just not playing good enough hockey, and they don't have anything going for them. Is the Buffalo Sabres? They've been threatening for a lot of years now to do something. Dylan Cousins used to play here in Lethbridge actually for the Hurricanes. He seems to be taking a bit of a step back and hasn't really jumped up to that next level like they hoped. And they can't get a goal. They can't get a save out of that Devin Levi. Why do they keep giving him chance to play net? I don't understand. He's got a 3.5 goals against average, 870 save percentage, and that's just not good enough in the National Hockey League. That's barely good enough in the Alberta Junior Hockey League. So Levi's got to find a way to make some saves. Yeah, you want to see what they got. Yeah, you don't want to give up on a young goaltender, but he's just not been good enough for that hockey team and puts them behind the eight ball a lot. And it's just one of those situations where they're just not good enough at all. Rasmus Dahlin's a hell of a player. They're better than they used to be, but they're still not going to be a playoff team. They're not better than the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're not better than the Flyers. They're not better than the Rangers. They're not better than the Islanders. And those are those like the teams that are guaranteed. So that's the 3 teams right there that are guaranteed to make the playoffs. They're not better than Tampa Bay. They're not better than Florida, and they're not better than Toronto. So I just think how many teams right there that the Buffalo Sabres are not going to surpass. So they're out of the playoffs. And I guess we'll wrap it up with the biggest tire fire in professional sports history. Last night was another embarrassing loss, this time in Carolina. I watched that game at length. We were out and about, but I would make sure my eyeballs were tuned onto it no matter where we were. Went to a gala last night. There was a gala here in Lethbridge, so we were out and about and had some cocktails, everything else. It was a lot of fun, but that Oilers team, get back to them. Right from the get-go, it was an absolute train wreck. You had Stuart Skinner wiping out on the ice when he stepped on there, and he was falling all over the place, and that happened during the game as well. And then you had Darnell Nurse taking a puck off the grill and off the face and in warm up when they skate around without a helmet on, which is odd because the guy doesn't have any hair. So go for a hair skate was kind of ridiculous. But no helmet and warm up. And I think that's going to become a thing of the past. We're just going to say, you know what, this isn't a thing anymore. He was bandaged up and everything else, and things went from really bad to worse. And he gave it 4 first period goals in an awful hurry. Skinner got pulled again, and it's just on and on it goes. And you looked at rookie coach Knobloch there, Chris Knobloch, I think it is. That's right. Not Chuck Knobloch. He was a second baseman for the Twins and the Yankees. But you looked at Knobloch, and he's like, why did I take this job? Why am I here? Things were so much better in Hartford with the Wolfpack. I didn't have to worry about my job and get fired and everything else. Like, you always want to get that first opportunity, but it didn't turn out well for Knobloch at all. That team looks bad there. Dreisaitl's got to pick his lip up. He's got to start playing hockey. I would trade him. Like it might sound ridiculous, but the season is so far gone for the Edmonton Oilers now. They're not making the playoffs. They're not making a run. Everybody, like people lately have been saying, "Oh, just wait, just wait, just wait." But you heard it here first in the 1420 podcast that that they weren't going to make a deal. I told everybody that they would win those first two games because it was Seattle and I can't remember who they beat when they went 2 in a row there. And I said they would go on this 3-game road trip. They would lose all 3, and they would not look good. And that's exactly what happened. I'm a soothsayer. I'm the Nostradamus of the sports podcast world, and that team just isn't good. And they're not going to come out of this unscathed. I would trade Draisaitl right now. He's pouting. He isn't doing anything. Get something for the get something returning your investment. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, which is next year. This season's done. Go and trade him. Just say thanks, bye, see ya. It's time to go and start regrouping because that team is not good. Free up some cap space. Get some decent to mid players. Get some guys that can help you on the back end because that's the problem there. That team is bad right from the and it's right from Ken Holland, who's a lame duck GM. He doesn't have a contract after this season. So Jeff Jackson, McDavid's old player agent, he's going to take over as the GM next year. All signs are pointing that way. I can't see Knobloch coming back next year. It's an absolute disaster. It's an absolute wreck there in Edmonton, and that might be. And I like to hear people's thoughts on that. Like, is this the biggest wreck in sports history? Like, I know like a lot of people who watch the show down in the States, they're not hockey guys, so probably not even listening to this. But I just want to know what a bigger wreck in sports history would be. I can't think of one that a team was poised to do something and do something well and to win a championship and everything. And how it just went so terribly bad and how everybody was so wrong. And that's the biggest thing, how everybody could be so wrong about this team and nobody really has an answer for it. And it showed again last night. Like you listen to different shows about, it's the team, it's this and that. No, it's the goaltending. They're not getting a save, and you can't blame it all on the goaltender. But last night Skinner he was flopping and flailing all over the place, and he looked terrible. He looked absolutely terrible. There was probably 2 or 3 more goals that should have went in that he was whiffing on. He was terrible. Draisaitl's terrible. Like the whole thing, it's just blow it up. I'd trade him. I would trade him right now. Like, and if McDavid wants to pout, trade him too. Fuck it. Like, there's the first swear word at 9:54 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day here at 1420 World Headquarters. Anyways, there are some teams that aren't making the playoffs. I think I named 8 of them right off the hop that are out of the 30 teams out there in the National Hockey League. There's 8 that aren't in. You guys got some bubble teams still. You got Arizona, who's kind of playing good hockey. Philadelphia's playing above their heads. You expect them to take a step back. I don't think they're a playoff team, but you just never know what Tortorella might do out there. But it's you got 8 teams that are already done. So there's a lot of trade pieces out there for a lot of these teams who are out there that might be looking to make things worse for themselves so they get a better draft pick come June. It's going to be interesting to see. There's no hockey today, but football starts here in about 45 minutes, I think it is. So, yeah, it should be an interesting holiday for everybody, our friends down the States. And all weekend long, hockey gets going again tomorrow. 15 games last night. I think there's 16 tomorrow. So it kind of should be a lot of fun watching a lot of hockey and everything else here at 1420 World Headquarters. And if you're going to go to a game, make sure you use our friends over there at SeatGeek. Give Santa and his elves a break from the grind this Christmas season and ask for tickets from SeatGeek. SeatGeek has tickets for shows, concerts, and sporting events for around the globe. And by using promo code 1420POD, you will save $20 on tickets. Tickets make for great stocking stuffers and gifts, so go to SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app for all of your ticket needs this holiday season and use promo code 1420POD today for your Christmas ticket. There it is, SeatGeek.com. I wonder how many times a day I say that, SeatGeek. But there it is, pounding people's heads. It's one of those things. Thank you very much for everybody who uses that to promo code and saves themselves some money, and they help sponsors the show and everything else. But let's get to birthdays and on this day and get everybody out of here and go enjoy the rest of your holiday there for all those down the States and for all those who are up here in Canada. Make sure you listen later on. There we go. On this day in 1984, Boston College defeated the Miami Hurricanes 47-45 on the heels of Doug Flutie's 472-yard, 3-touchdown performance in front of 30,325 people at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. The Hurricanes went into the game as 6-point favorites over the 10th-ranked Eagles. Boston College jumped out to an early 14-0 lead before Bernie Kosar and the Hurricanes came back to tie the game at 14. Both quarterbacks had phenomenal games coming combining for 59 for 84 incompletions and 919 yards and 5 TD passes in total. But it was Doug Flutie and the Eagles who would come out on top because with 6 seconds left and Boston College trailing 45-41, Flutie called 55 flood tip, and he scrambled to the right and threw the ball from his own 37-yard line into the waiting arms of Gerard Phelan for the 47-45 win, and the legend of the Hail Mary was born. Flutie would go on to win the Heisman Trophy later on in December, and one of the greatest plays in college football history right there. So one of the memories and everything else, I don't recall it, but you see it a lot on all the highlight package, highlight reels and everything else. That's it's funny that you see that Hail Mary. I remember like you played in the schoolyard back when you were a kid, and that was always the just throw it, and it never worked, right? But that was one where the Miami Hurricanes players kind of just thought it wasn't going to it was going to happen. They just went over their heads, and Phelan was there to catch it, and the rest is, as they say, is history. One of the greatest plays, not just college football history, but in football history. So yeah, there it was on this day in 1984. And happy 39th birthday to Justin Turner, born on this day in 1984 in Long Beach, California. Turner was drafted twice, first by the Yankees in the 29th round in 2005, and then by the Cincinnati Reds in the 7th round of the 2006 draft out of Cal State Fullerton. Turner was drafted to the Baltimore Orioles in December of 2008 as part of a deal that sent Ramon Hernandez to Cincinnati. Turner made his major league debut on September 8th, 2009 at Fenway Park, but he would get his first major league hit 3 days later at Yankee Stadium with a single to center field off of Michael Dunn. Turner would then move on to the Mets for 4 seasons and in 301 games hit .265. Turner's career really began to flourish after joining the LA Dodgers, hitting 156 home runs, 574 RBIs, and a .296 batting average in his 9 years with the Dodgers. Turner played with the Boston Red Sox last season, hit 23 home runs, 96 RBIs, and a .276 batting average. Happy birthday to two-time All-Star Justin Turner. There you see him getting the Grand Slam last season against the New York Yankees. I haven't talked about them for a while, but my heart rate's gone down quite a bit, so that's a good thing. Anyways, that's it for 14:20 in the morning. Once again, happy Thanksgiving to all of our friends down in the United States and all our friends in the Belly Up Network. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. Turn your microphones off and just have a day and enjoy some great meals, enjoy some great football, and just be thankful for everything we're allowed to do. There's a lot going on in this world, and hopefully we can take a few moments to realize that things are actually pretty okay. There's a lot of chaos, but we should be thankful for the good things, not focus on the negative. There's my little sermon for the day here from 1420 World Headquarters. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and remember, it doesn't matter where you are, it's who you're with. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.